Audible is audio entertainment that entertains, educates, and inspires. For you, the listeners of the CreepGeeks Podcast, Audible is offering a free audiobook download with a 30-day free trial to give you the opportunity to check out their service. To download your free audiobook today, go to audibletrial.com/cheapgeek. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cheapgeek for your free audiobook. Enjoy this with your free trial. 30 days of membership free, plus 2 free audiobooks that are yours forever. 1 credit a month after trial, good for any book regardless of price. Exclusive member savings. Get 30% off additional audiobooks. Easy exchanges. Don't love a book? Swap it for free anytime, seriously. Again, that's audibletrial.com/cheapgeek for your free audiobook today. You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 172.
Zonkey, Bigfoot in Oklahoma, space mining, and Easter egg porn.
Yeah. So, welcome to the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode number 172. Glad to have you here. If it's your first time here, hello, welcome. If it's not your first time and you're a repeat offender, good to see you.
Yep.
So, it begins again. We talk about all sorts of things that we find to be interesting on the internet, and we bring them to you. Mostly they're paranormal and weird news, hence the name of the podcast, CreepGeeks Paranormal and Weird News Podcast. But we talk about things that are relevant and current and fun.
Yes.
Usually. So, there's a couple different things you can do to support the podcast if you'd like. We have a phone number for you to call if you'd like to share an experience or a story, or if you'd have something you'd like us to talk about. That phone number is
575-208-4025.
Yeah, and my name is Greg.
I'm Omi.
And we're going to talk about the CreepGeeks Podcast.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, we have a couple different ways that you can kind of get a hold of us. The phone number is one of them. We also have a website. You can go to creepgeeks.com. Check out what we have there. We also have a contact form on that website, creepgeeks.com. Where you can share if you'd like to do that sort of thing. Email as well. And we have a Facebook page.
Yep, that'll be a CreepGeeks Podcast.
Pretty hard to find. Yeah, it's actually a pretty active podcast, as far as the Facebooks and the Instagrams and all that stuff. We do all the social media stuff, but Facebook is fun. We like to share things. We also like to do live streams.
Yeah.
Because during the coronas, we've decided to go out and try to do more live streams, even though it's kind of hard for us because we broadcast from an undisclosed location in western North Carolina from a bunker in the middle of nowhere.
Yep.
But we're making the effort. And last time people showed up and they interacted with us and talked to us, and it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we do it from our van, the Great White Buffalo. That was our old van.
Yeah.
We have a new van called the Albino Rhino. It nearly killed me. Well, I fell off of it, broke my neck, so it's been a thing.
Yeah.
So there you go. We're just about all caught up with the podcast. So 2020 has been an awful year for us and for most everybody else, but we're going to make it better by doing the podcast from different locations at different times and doing live streams and doing it on the regular.
Yeah.
As we have been. And just here's a fun fact. People that listen to podcasts, basically the amount of podcast plays has gone down 20% since the coronavirus.
Really?
Yep. And you would think that it would go up since we're all quarantined and have nothing to do. Right? That people listen to more podcasts, but evidently not.
Yeah.
That's not the way it is. That's okay, though.
Huh.
We get it. There's all sorts of other things to listen to and see out there, like, what was it, Joe Exotic, and what was that show called?
Tiger King.
Tiger King.
Yes.
Yeah, it's a train wreck. We've been watching it. I don't know how I feel about it. It's like, man, I mean, it kind of is what it is, but
yeah,
that's okay.
At least, places like Discovery are kicking out some new shows that I'm looking forward to. So,
That's true.
Yeah.
So there's things to watch and things to do. And hopefully coronavirus will just go away.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. But it looks like it's going to take a while. But anyway, so with this particular podcast, there's all sorts of things you can do to listen and interact and be, more present in the podcast. And we do appreciate that sort of thing. And one of the things that we do is every podcast we do, all the notes that we use, and we talk about stuff and all the links and all the articles and things like that, we provide so that if you want to go back and look up later on and look them up or follow them or share them or whatever, you can do that. And we typically do that on our website. So just so you know, that's our full disclosure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, as we move into the podcast, there's a couple things we're going to talk about. Very important things. But the first thing is, do you know that with the coronavirus and the coronavirus search terms that are out there and what things are looking for, it seems to be changing almost on the daily?
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. We did this the past couple podcast episodes where we talked about, things that people were looking up on the internet in relation to COVID-19, the coronavirus, right?
Yeah.
And this is one that we talked about in our live stream, right? And this was one that I didn't expect. This one that you brought up. Car insurance refunds for COVID-19.
Yeah.
Yeah, that search has gone up to 3,750%.
Yeah.
That's kind of crazy. It's like, we did one where the face masks were the big search where it was like 4,800 and whatever it was. But evidently with COVID-19 and people not driving as much because they've been sequestered or locked away, that search term, car insurance refunds for COVID-19, 3,750% increase.
And then,
which kind of makes sense.
Yeah.
I
mean, with
it's like,
with nobody driving, you might actually have people out there who have not left their house or gone driving at all. I mean, I've had to go out because of work and groceries.
And we've gone out to do, different things and, try to do essential things.
But there's people who haven't gone out.
Yeah. And like our car insurance company is basically given 20%, off our bill.
But we've been driving 80% less.
I know, but it's still a thing. I was like, wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, that search term kind of caught us by surprise. We did talk about it. Antibody is the new keyword that seems to have hit an all-time high.
Which, in my opinion, it's a little early to be searching for that one, in my opinion.
Well, you see it. Every time you see a coronavirus thing, you'll see something where like this latest and greatest cure or this and that's happening. And there's really, it's not there yet.
But I'm also thinking in the sense of us humans building up an antibody on our own, Yeah. It would take months, if not years, for that to happen. And at least I think it would. So.
Well, I'm hoping you're wrong.
But insomnia is the one that is relevant to me because that's hit an all-time high.
Yeah, from 2004 to 2020, search term has hit a major all-time high.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes sense because I can't sleep either.
Yep.
And this one I thought was really surprising. O blood group and coronavirus.
Oh.
As in if you're like O positive, O negative or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is up. That search term is up, or that search phrase is 1,400% more interesting than it was in the past.
Which is funny because like I saw some tinfoil hat type pages sharing information about that, and I'm to the point where I'm scared to click on certain things.
Yeah,
yeah.
It's been one of those things where there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of hey, click here so you can get like viruses and junk.
Yeah. Or you click, you think it's interesting, you share it, and suddenly you're in Facebook jail.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And of course, these search terms are really popular. When does the stimulus check get deposited? And as of Friday, stimulus checks have been going out, and they have been becoming deposited in people's bank accounts, in some people's bank accounts.
Well, we've been told that, but nobody seems to know anybody.
I seen one in the comments, though, of one of those posts that says, I got my check.
Oh,
I couldn't
really?
believe, he's like, I couldn't believe it. I thought this was, not real.
Oh, okay.
And then right underneath that was like, I got a check for $4,000 just by doing these 3 simple things. So I'm like, okay, so yeah, so it's a thing.
Okay.
So yeah, for our interesting random factoid, which is, something we like to include in our podcast, we decided to do coronavirus factoids, if you will. And what better way to do that than to do the little search terms, what people are actually looking for.
Okay.
And we're not going to dwell too much on that because, Corona kind of sucks, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
But here's some good news.
What?
a Zonkey has been born.
Aw, that's so cool.
Yes. And for those of you who don't know what a Zonkey is, because I didn't know what it was, so of course I had to click on it. Do you know what a Zonkey is?
Yes, I do. It's where a donkey and a zebra mate and make a baby.
They make sweet, sweet love.
Yes.
And create a baby Zonkey.
A baby Zonkey.
Yeah.
And usually, like, the typical thing is it won't be fully striped like a zebra. It'll have stripes in weird places. Usually, and here's the weird thing, it's usually on the back half.
Yeah.
But this one, it looks like it's on its lower extremities.
Like its front legs and back legs.
Yeah. And their hair will usually be shorter and its tail will be longer normally. Yeah. So they're really cute in an ugly animal that's cute way. So but they get the personality from both, because apparently zebras are just as mean as donkeys.
Yeah. I mean, they kind of look like donkeys.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the staff in a wildlife conservation area in Kenya were amazed to discover that a zebra donkey hybrid, also known as a Zonkey, has been born at the site. They looked at it and they were like, at first they just thought it was kind of a dirty, like, baby zebra because it's kind of brown looking, you know, and they're like, oh, it's just been rolling around in the dirt.
Yeah.
And then they got up on it and they realized that they didn't. Nope, it's a Zonkey. And as for how the wondrous Zonkey wound up at the reserve, the group explained last May they had rescued a zebra that had wandered out of the wild, right?
Yeah.
And into a community where it became an honorary member of the local woman's cattle herd.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, so this zebra kind of showed up at this lady's cattle herd, right? And so he just became an honorary member of the family, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Well, then they went and put it on this, nature preserve, this conservation thing.
Yeah.
Because, can't really have a wild cattle herd with a zebra in it.
No.
And, evidently, since there's such a long gestation period with these donkeys or zebras, they didn't know that it was pregnant.
Oh.
Yeah. I think it takes like a year almost for these things to have babies.
Really?
Yeah, it's a long time.
Oh, wow.
12-month gestation period. So they didn't realize that the baby or that the zebra was pregnant. And they, it said it's evidently that the creature had been created following an encounter with an amorous donkey during its time living with the cattle in that local village, so that lady's cattle herd. So there you go. A Zonkey has been born.
So cool. I think it's cool. They're cute.
Yeah. And, I wonder how many cryptids have been created that way by a hybrid sort of thing happening and people seeing it and going, what is that? And then boom, there it is. It's a cryptid. Because if you said you seen like, something that looked like a donkey with stripes like a zebra running around, people would be like, whatever, man, you think you're crazy, but there it is.
Or, I mean, like we have it going on in the Southwest right now with like coyotes mating with stray dogs and stuff like that.
And wolves and junk. So you get like hybrids that way.
I mean, the coyotes that were in the neighborhood just outside our house, they were mating with German Shepherd and Huskies that had escaped.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
So they were like super coyotes, which was not cool.
Yeah, they had a cooler name too, Coyote.
Coyote.
So anyway, there you go. A Zonkey was born, so I thought that was good news.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know Zonkeys existed. And after reading the article, it kind of made sense.
Well, it's kind of unusual. I think the last time I ever heard of one, I was like still a kid. So, yeah.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So a Zonkey. Zonkey.
I'm glad we're going to talk about this next one because it just stank when I first read about it.
Stank.
So, yeah.
Okay, so evidently there have been multiple Bigfoot sightings reported, right?
Mm-hmm.
In Oklahoma.
Yeah.
And an urban wilderness area, which is funny. What the hell is an urban wilderness area? Is that like a little stretch of woods between like people's apartment communities? Because otherwise we had an urban wilderness area behind our house in Virginia when we were living there.
Yeah, that's actually considered one of them.
That's just silly. It's just a patch of woods, but
yeah. And that park that was across the street that we would take the dogs to, that was considered an urban wilderness preserve.
I think they're just making stuff up.
I know, at this point.
It's like calling it a green space. Oh,
yeah.
There's a green space there.
Green space or open space. I honestly think it's like a Mississippi difference. Like here on the East Coast, they're going to call them urban wilderness areas or suburban preserves. And then on west of the Mississippi, we're going to call them open spaces.
Yeah.
So
they're just places that just don't have any houses built on them.
Well, this is Oklahoma, so...
Yeah, well, evidently this is a hiking destination in Oklahoma.
Okay,
right?
Yeah.
And over the past weekends, people have claimed to have spotted to what they believe to be Bigfoot.
Yeah.
There's even pictures. And they had this weird spate of sightings that occurred at the Turkey Mountain Urban Wilderness area.
Yeah.
And here's what they say, which is a spacious piece of undeveloped land in Tulsa that has become particularly popular with the outdoor escape for residents who have been exercising self-isolation at home in response to the coronavirus. Okay, so basically it's a patch of woods.
It's a patch of woods with a trail.
Yeah, they're calling the Turkey Mountain Urban Wilderness area.
So the thing was, there was these social media posts that went out.
On Facebook.
And it's funny because Turkey Mountain Urban Wilderness was posting them, but somebody else had beat them to the punch and had already started circulating some of these photos to all the cryptid groups. And I'm like, alarm bells went off, but I wasn't going to say anything.
Yeah.
Because even reputable people were sharing them.
And see, this is the problem I have with Facebook and things like this when you see like pictures and sightings, and especially with orbs and stuff like that. People are like, what do you see? And it's like, oh, I see your grandmother or whatever. And it's like most of them are just dust or humidity or things like that. And then you see the same thing when people show pictures of the woods and they go, what do you see? And it's like, well, I see 15 blurry trees, you know?
Yeah, I see that you zoomed in so far that it's just pixels.
And so when I seen these pictures of what, I mean, it looks like there's a Bigfoot or something standing there. My immediate thought was, this is turbo fake.
Yeah, and because when you look at one of the pictures, I looked at one and I was like, I'm going to shut the lid on my laptop because if I comment, I'm going to get kicked from this group. Yeah. Because it was so clearly a Bigfoot mask.
Yeah.
You know?
And that's what happens. You know, sometimes if you try to be credible and you look at something like that and you realize that, okay, it's obviously not real or it's not legit, and you make a comment that's counter to everybody that drinks the Kool-Aid and immediately goes, of course that's real. You get banned.
Yeah.
For being negative.
Which is not,
like, you know, and it's like, no, I'm being realistic here because, I mean, we're geared to try to debunk things like that we see because otherwise you just
and see
it doesn't. You know what I mean? It's like you have to you have to look at things like this and say, look, it's obviously not real.
Yeah.
Or let's be skeptical about it to make sure. And if you can answer the question of what it is that you're looking at, right?
Yeah.
In a way that's not sort of phantasmical. Is that a word? It's like not everything is a ghost, not everything is an orb, not everything is Bigfoot, not everything is a UFO. I mean, you should look to see if you can explain it in a natural sense, right?
Yeah, and that's the biggest problem is we've gone, especially on social media, yes, CreepGeeks, we have a lot of fun on this podcast, but we always try to attack the evidence, never the person. Hold on. Or, I'm sorry.
You shouldn't say attack.
Yeah.
We always examine the evidence as to what it is. I take the person out of it. If you send me a picture... Right. And it says, hey, I think this is whatever, I will read it to figure out the who, what, when, where, and why.
Yeah.
And that's it. I separate the person from the evidence and I look to see if I think the evidence is credible.
And so we're being
realistic. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're being critical of the evidence, not the person.
Right. And because you can't take it personally. And then if I can't describe it or if I can't explain it in a way that makes sense or if it's just completely weird to me, then it becomes a different thing altogether. It's like, oh, wow, I can't explain this. This is something.
But now everybody's like, no, you're being critical of the person.
Yeah. No. That's my grandmother. How could you say that? It's like, no, that's not your grandmother. That is a dust. That is a dust ball.
That is a moth.
Yeah. That is, an animal running across your security camera that is running faster than the 14 frames per second that your camera can only do.
Yeah.
So if it can be explained,
that is a Party City mask,
I would think that you would want somebody to explain it to you and go, well, no, this is what we believe it is, to give you some solace, because otherwise then that means that there's demons everywhere. There's monsters everywhere. It'd be a scary world to live in. But anyway.
I know, right? Could you imagine?
Yeah. It's like, okay. So when I seen these pictures, I'm like, this is obviously fake.
Yeah.
And I didn't get involved. I'm like, I'm done. I'm not even going to get in here because you scroll, you're like, you look at it and you go fake and you just keep going.
Yeah.
And guess what?
What?
This multiple Bigfoot sightings reported at the Oklahoma Urban Wilderness Area, otherwise known as Turkey Mountain Urban Wilderness Area on Facebook. Fake.
Oh, really? I'm so surprised.
Yeah. And it says Oklahoma Bigfoot unmasked.
Okay.
In a not altogether surprising turn of events, it's been revealed that a series of reported Bigfoot sightings in a park in Oklahoma were, in fact, a campaign to encourage social distancing.
How?
I don't know. The alleged encounters made news at the beginning of the week last week at Tulsa, whatever. They showed a series of images seemingly showing Sasquatch, allegedly taken by visitors to the site over the previous weekend. And these sightings appeared for a couple days. And I guess what their initial thought was that people would not want to go because Bigfoot's there.
I'm sorry, if Bigfoot was there, everybody would want to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it says, as if their decision to issue this statement on April 1st was not suggestive enough, the Turkey Mountain Urban Wilderness area later revealed that the entire affair was merely a clever effort behind the Bigfoot, right, for the campaign that absolutely exploded beyond their expectations. And since unmasking the creature, the park has continued to utilize a so-called social distance Sasquatch character to ensure that people don't forget to adhere to safe practices while in the area.
But here's the problem with that. This stuff, we didn't actually start seeing it on April 1st.
Right.
People were leaking it after the fact, and I don't remember any updates on April 2nd.
Right. And how does seeing Bigfoot in the woods promote social distancing?
Yeah. It would actually draw more people to the park.
Yeah.
And then you have another big problem, which I hate in the cryptozoology world, which is people stealing the images and repackaging them as something else.
Yeah.
And reposting them as original content and saying, well, I had this experience right around, and give the general area.
And they surely didn't have this Bigfoot guy wearing a Bigfoot mask and a Bigfoot suit in this Oklahoma place holding a sign that says maintain 6 feet.
Yeah, no, they didn't.
They just showed him standing off in the woods. So here's kind of what I think. I think the people that did this were basically trying to draw more interest, to get people to go.
Yeah.
And then were shocked when it blew up, and then they had to turn it into something. So yeah, we want you to maintain social distancing.
Oh, I made one comment.
Hey, yeah, guys, that's what we tried to do. It's I don't think so. Because that suit's expensive. Because that's not like an inexpensive suit.
I made a comment to somebody, and I think it may have actually turned into something, because I said, the quickest way to see if this is a publicity stunt is to call the park and ask if someone filed for a filming or media permit. Right. Because they have to disclose that.
Yeah. And these guys didn't. It's just people stood off and took a picture and put it on Twitter.
Yeah.
So. Yeah. And then this person that said, I found the man behind the viral Bigfoot costume at Turkey Mountain,
Yeah.
Today, the Tulsa River Parks is rolling out a campaign to encourage people to get out and be active on their trails, but keep 6 feet apart.
Okay.
And that was on April 2nd. So it's maybe damage control. I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, guess what? Wasn't real. Looked fake. So it's it kind of made a big deal. And, if you follow this kind of thing and you're out there and you like Bigfoot and all that stuff, and you follow that sort of thing and you've seen it on Facebook, I'm sure people were like, man, this is great. And if you're not skeptically minded, you might look at that and go, wow, that's good evidence. At which point you would be wrong. So it created a Sasquatch flap as a spate of sightings happened. So I like that eventually the park went so far as to issue press releases that acknowledged the reports and indicated that a consultation with a wildlife expert found that there was no evidence to support the existence of Bigfoot.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what wildlife expert did they get to go look at this little woods to see if Bigfoot's there? I mean, honestly, are there Bigfoot wildlife experts that you could just call out of the phone book, or do you find them on Facebook?
Oh.
I mean, I can't say the only. If I had the ability to call somebody.
Anybody.
No, not anybody, but just call somebody that I knew would come out and could do a good job investigating, that I'd feel would be really factual and be, all scientifical about it, would be Dr. Jeff Melder.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's been doing this for 40 years. I kind of like what he has to say when he goes out and looks at, sure.
But he's more of an anthropologist, though.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, okay. But he still can look at a footprint, and he could still look at it and go, okay, well, from what I've seen in the past, whatever. And he's like a legit anthropologist. So I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I wouldn't call like Matt Moneymaker or something like that because I don't know.
And honestly, I would call Cliff and Bobo.
Well, I mean, sure,
yeah,
but I would still call. I don't know. Yeah. I guess maybe it's because since we've met Mr. Meldrum and talked to him for a while, I like him good enough. He seemed to be a real good person, so it's like I'd call him. I don't know. It's kind of a thing, and this is one of those things where it kind of reminds me of where like one guy was like, if I see anything in the woods that looks like Bigfoot, I'm gonna shoot it.
Yeah. Didn't we just get done with that like last year? Like people shooting at Bigfoot?
And it could have been bad. But I don't know. I just thought, that's kind of crazy. But it just kind of brought some feelings up. I'm like, I don't know about all this stuff. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, so multiple sightings of Bigfoot. Not real. And here's something that I read that kind of, sort of set me off a little bit. And not probably for the reasons that you're thinking. And so President Trump signs order allowing the U.S. to mine the moon, asteroids, and beyond.
Okay.
Now, regardless of what your feelings are about the president, other nations and other countries and stuff like that have similar things in place where if they get out into space, right, and they run across like an asteroid made out of gold, they're going to claim it.
Yeah, didn't we talk about China trying to do that?
Yeah. China's anybody who can get out into space has already put things out there.
Yeah.
Because the way it works, if you've ever watched The Martian with Matt Damon, right? Mm-hmm. And they brought up that, international treaties and laws don't necessarily apply, and it would be more like, you're out like in the ocean.
Yeah.
Using the international laws and treaties that way, right? Like you're almost like a pirate. Then you find something like that, you claim it. Because who can claim space? Really nobody, right?
Yeah.
And so you have to make your declaration known that, hey, if we go out in space and we find something, we're going to claim it. So it's kind of like if you were sailing along in the ocean, you run across an island that nobody else claimed and you claim it, then you own that island kind of a thing.
Yeah. How did we do it? Well, that's a history podcast, not a paranormal one. But, right. I mean, why can't we just mimic that?
That's what we're doing. And the president signed an order saying, hey, if we, we're going to claim stuff, we're going to mine the moon, we're going to mine asteroids, we're going to do all of that stuff.
Okay.
And this article talks about, the space race, the Cold War and all this stuff and making it out to be like, since he signed an executive order encouraging international support for the recovery and use of space resources, that we're kind of the bad guys here. Yeah. When China has done it, and said they're going to do it. Japan said they're going to do it, right? Anybody who can get into space has already said that if they come across resources, they're going to claim them and they're going to get them.
Okay.
So I kind of thought this had already happened a long time ago. But evidently, since they're kind of saying, hey, the space race is sort of back on again, that this need to be a thing. And I guess with the Space Force and all this other junk, but and the funny thing is that there are countries that are kind of like, hey, you shouldn't be saying you're going to try to claim the moon and Mars and everything else. Yeah. And guess who that is?
Who?
Russia. And they're the worst. They said they were going to do it a long time ago. Now they're like, hold on a second now.
Well, yeah. In 2015, Congress signed a law specifically allowing American companies and citizens to use the moon and asteroids. In 1979, the U.S. refused to sign the United Nations agreement governing the activities of states on the moon and other celestial bodies.
As well they should, because that was a junk piece of it.
Then again, neither did the European Space Agency, Russia, China, and Japan. Surprisingly,
anybody that could have got out into space said this is a stupid idea, we're not going to do it.
Surprisingly, none of those countries or programs had come up with an official intent to exploit either, leaving a void that this executive order jumps into spacesuit-covered feet first.
Yep.
So, but yeah, I could have sworn you're right. Like, something that came out a while ago, like a long time ago. But
and it even talks about, like part of this where it says that the executive order also confirms Congress's intent that Americans should have the right to engage in commercial exploration, recovery, and use of resources in outer space, consistent with applicable law. Outer space is a legally and physically unique domain of human activity, and the United States does not view space as a global commons.
Huh.
In other words, it doesn't just belong to everybody and you have to share, which I agree with. Okay. You know what I mean? But anyway, it says, while the U.S. is still the only country to put humans on the moon, the list of countries sending satellites, probes, rovers, and the like actually continues to grow. And does having the first footprints on the U.S. or give the U.S. the first come, first served rights? And how does this apply to asteroids when the chance of human visitation is highly unlikely for many years, if ever? It's like, okay.
So this is almost an anti-colonization type.
Sort of. It's kind of like saying, okay, well, you shouldn't be able to claim whatever it is you're on or whatever it is you're doing out there because it's not fair. But even talk about Japan. It says, like, Japan, for one, has undertaken a mission to bring back samples of an asteroid back to Earth. And so does that mean first means ownership? Or does biggest mean ownership? And where is the encouraging international support part? So what if Japan goes and hits an asteroid and brings back, say, a mineral that has enough power to power the entire planet? Do we all share in that, or is it just something that Japan can do since they went out there and got it?
And then they can make Godzilla and Mechzilla.
Yeah, Mecha Godzilla and all that.
But the article ends with pretty much a sentiment that reiterates through the rest of the article, which is, would it help if the president spent a few hours watching some old Star Trek episodes?
Yeah, and that's why I had a hard time with this article.
Yeah.
The president has done nothing inappropriate here, nothing wrong. The only thing he's done is sign an executive order that basically says, hey, the U.S. is going to go out, and if they have the ability to mine the moon, asteroids, and beyond, they're going to do it. Every country has already said they're going to do it. He just put it in writing.
Yeah.
And he put it in writing so that if it comes time to put money to it to make something happen, then it's already there. The intent is there. The entire planet knows that we're going to try to do something like that, right?
And if China has already issued a statement, which I think was last year.
Yep.
And
Russia
actually years ago, 2 years, I think we did an article about that.
Yep.
Then we're actually late to the game. Almost.
Well, we're not actually really late to the game necessarily. We have actually just kind of we put our money where our mouth is and said, we're going to do this.
Well, yeah, plus we have that 2015 statement, I guess.
Yeah. So the whole, maybe you should have watched Star Trek episodes, I thought was just a bullshit kind of thing to throw in there. Because honestly, the international support, when it comes to sort of thing between China and Russia and the U.S. and all that, we all have started sharing a little bit of resources here. Like, we still use Russia's launch and return vehicles to get us to and from, and it's going to be a thing where, all these commercial companies are starting to get the ability now to go out into space and do things like, Elon Musk got a company going on, and Bigelow Aerospace has a company. So it's going to become a crowded thing, and it's like, let's go ahead and do it. Let's get it out there.
I think it's
going to be space is going to be a commercial enterprise. Period.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I think that's the problem that some people have with that. They truly do want that Star Trek ideal utopian society. But that's the problem. Star Trek was like the science fiction version of the American dream, where everybody got along and everything was a collaboration and everything was peaceful. We don't live in that society. And even trying to take that attitude towards space when others do not share that same ideal is impossible.
Yeah, well, I kind of look at it as being different. I think Star Trek was basically smacking America in the face. Saying that, your current ideals and beliefs won't matter in the future, so it's stupid to have the opinion that you do currently. Because Gene Roddenberry was kind of like that. And that's okay, because, and he directly used the Cold War as a way to influence that show to keep the tensions up. The Klingons were Russians, and all that sort of thing, and the standoff, and then a racial, it was really a sort of a current event, sort of politically motivated show. But when this guy threw the quote in here at the end of this article saying, would it help if the president spent a few hours watching some old Star Trek episodes, has nothing to do with what the entire article was about. You know what I mean? It was kind of a non sequitur. It's like, why even go there and do that when all these other countries have been doing the same thing? They just really haven't done necessarily an official intent, right? But our president did, saying, hey, we are going to do this sort of thing. But to throw that little dig in there when you've got like China, Russia, Japan. I mean, even Brazil, it's like, hold on a second.
I think everybody's just taking digs right now where they can.
Yeah, but it's stupid. Why do that? Because it was a great article until you get to that point. It's like, well, what does that have to do with anything?
So,
I don't know. I think if we go out there and we find an asteroid that's made out of gold or diamonds or whatever, or a new power support, source or whatever, I think great, bring it back.
Or worse, what if somebody brings back the next corona? That's where I'm like,
That's entirely possible. I mean,
do we really want to claim that, Yeah.
But it's going to happen.
So,
I mean, look in the future. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Might as well say, hey, we're going to do this because they are going to do it. Makes sense to me. Yeah. Like, what if you came across an entire planet or like an asteroid made out of lithium, and you could like mine the lithium or dilithium crystals, since you're Star Trek.
Yeah, and then the planet would have like a big old label on it, Samsung.
Yeah, this asteroid brought to you by Samsung. Yeah. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of cool. Put it out there. I actually thought this had happened a long time ago, like back in 1979 when all these other countries were talking about it. I guess not. So anyway, we have an executive order now saying, hey, if we come across something cool, we're going to go for it. We're going to get some resources. And why not? Maybe we can make the planet better.
Cool.
Make Earth great again. You know what I mean? we got enough stuff to worry about. I don't think it's going to happen anytime soon. We got NASA they're going to use a kinetic weapon to try to push an asteroid out of the way just in case.
Yeah.
I won't know if it works until like 4 years later, but who knows? It was just kind of a weird thing. And then from looking at that, I came across this. You ready?
What?
Florida woman.
Oh, first off, happy Easter, everybody.
Well, but why would you even say that? Because by the time people listen to it, Easter is done. So you have to say a belated Easter.
Okay.
Right. Or alleged.
Yes, alleged.
So this Florida woman, right, has allegedly placed porn-filled Easter eggs in mailboxes. So I'm like, well, that's just wrong, right? So, of course, I had to click on it because Florida. And then, what was she trying to do? In the picture of this woman, she looks kind of nutty, but not like crazy. I don't know. She doesn't look too like you would. She doesn't look like she's like full of meth and stuff. She just kind of looks just like this woman that has she has some intent behind her eyes. But anyway.
Yeah.
What happened was people were finding these little plastic Easter eggs with materials inside their mailboxes.
Okay.
And like one resident got the Easter egg in the mailbox. They opened it up and it contained a cracker in the shape of a fish, one sheet of toilet paper, and porn images. That's specific stuff. That's just not like random stuff. And I'm like,
very
what
specific.
Is that?
Yeah.
And so the Florida woman was arrested after allegedly placing the Easter eggs containing pornographic images and non-threatening references to churches and people's mailboxes. These come from the authorities, right?
Yeah.
And she was arrested. She's 42. Her name is Aberil, whatever. She admitted to distributing the eggs and claimed that she was educating people. And so she also had like a bag of pornographic material found in the car. And she told deputies that she had distributed more than 400 pamphlets through the county over the past few days. And the plastic eggs were also allegedly included non-threatening references to county buildings and various other items.
See, I want to know what they keep emphasizing, that non-threatening, I want to know what they are.
And see, that when I kept reading this, I'm like, ooh, what was her intent? Because this wasn't just like, I'm just going to shock people, right?
Yeah.
It's like an Easter egg in her mailbox containing a cracker in the shape of a fish, one sheet of toilet paper, a powdered drink mix, and a crumpled up piece of paper containing pornographic images. So what message is she trying to say? I mean, I was like, what is she? And then they say, our team did a great job tracking down this deranged offender and taking her into custody. Thankfully, she did not appear to be sick with COVID-19 symptoms, but she certainly needs some help. Okay. So trying to say this lady's nuts.
Yeah.
But is she, though? So she was charged with 11 counts of distributing obscene material, as well as driving on a suspended license. And she was also charged with violating Florida's stay-at-home order. But I want to know what message she was trying to put out there. Because, I mean, that's diligence, right? She put out 400 pamphlets all over the county.
Here's the thing. There's a comment in one of the original threads. The paper towel, some of them had the drink mix in the paper towel. So it looked like you were getting a paper towel with powder in it, which could be fear-inducing because you're like, oh my God, did somebody put a toxin or poison or what have you?
Or maybe it was Kool-Aid.
Yeah, instead of a powdered drink,
Yeah. But maybe she didn't want people to drink the Kool-Aid.
Oh, true.
And maybe she was trying to say that, see, that's just it. That's one, like, I just kind of want to know what she meant.
I know.
Like, she's got, like, what does the fish mean? I mean, you can kind of guess, right? The fish, the egg, Easter, drinking the Kool-Aid, which, when you take your confessional, or not confessional, when you do your...
It was a goldfish cracker. So that's also like...
It doesn't say that. It just says it's a fish-shaped cracker.
Oh, okay.
And she says she's educating people, right? So I kind of want to know what she's trying to say.
Yeah.
And like one person made a comment, says, I want to know more about the non-threatening messages. Like, I wonder what they said. And people say, well, she's got health issues and, all that kind of stuff. But I mean, does she really have health issues? Maybe. Or maybe does she think that people should know? Like maybe she doesn't agree with religion, or maybe she's trying to make a statement about drinking the Kool-Aid and all of this stuff. And maybe she doesn't like the idea of Easter with plastic Easter eggs filled with candy and all that stuff. And maybe it takes away from the original meaning of Easter.
But why the porn?
I don't know. Maybe she thinks that it's an offense. It's a whole thing is a perversion of the original intent behind Easter.
True.
See, we don't know. That's what I want to know.
I know.
I don't.
But there's not enough detail in these articles.
They just they make it out to be a crazy woman in Florida who thankfully, she needs help, but she didn't have any COVID-19 symptoms. It's like there's some things that they put in this article that's a distraction.
Yeah.
And she did like 400 of these. So this is not like, some random, she had the intent to do 400. And when you look at her picture,
it looks
like she kind of looks, she has intent. She's like, I'm educating. I am
distributing 400 eggs of pornography.
Yeah. She's like, this is a mission. I'm on a mission and you're going to be educated by whatever it is I have to say. And I want to know what she has to say. But I like the comments, make Florida great again. I knew this was Florida before I even read the article, Figures it'd be Florida. Cracker in the shape of a fish, goldfish.
Yeah.
And this firecracker.
Of the meme where it's like, would you like to join my church? Well, tell me more. It's like, I'm listening.
Yeah. It's like, I have free pizza or whatever. Like, I'm listening. Yeah, I'm interested.
I want to know. I just want to know the correlation. So I'm listening.
Yeah. So I was kind of like wanting to know, and I read it, and I was hoping to get more information out of it to see.
Yeah.
But we'll probably never know.
Now,
but that would be kind of shocking, though, too.
Now, if Ms. Stoney wants to call or email the podcast, we would love to hear from her so that she could share her message. Can you please
explain your message?
Yes, we would love to. And you can contact us at contact@creepgeeks.com.
Yeah. I don't know. I just thought I thought it was more.
Yeah.
It was funny when I first looked. I mean, funny and like, wow, that's kind of crazy. Let me see what this says. It's obviously Florida. But then when I started reading the article, I'm like, there's more to this.
Ooh, if we have any Florida listeners that got one, could you take a picture and tell us what you got?
Yeah.
Yeah. I want to know about these non-threatening messages. I really do.
Yeah. So, it's kind of weird.
Yeah.
It's like, let me give you a little fish, some Kool-Aid, some porn, some non-threatening messages, Kind of nutty, man. I was like, that's kind of crazy.
That's some Easter right there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Okay, so one of our last podcasts, we talked about Tom DeLonge.
Yeah.
But I don't think we actually talked about it with our public podcast. I think we actually talked about it with our Patreon-only podcast that we have on patreon.com/CreepGeeks. I don't remember. Do you?
Actually, that's a great question.
I'm pretty sure we talked about it with our other podcasts. And if you're listening and you did not know, we actually have a Patreon that you can go and check out. And if you're a patron, you get access to a bunch of stuff that you don't normally see and or hear. We do extra content.
Oh, no, we talked about it on episode 171.
Okay, that was our last podcast.
Yeah.
But, okay, now I feel silly for talking about Patreon, but we do have a Patreon where we actually have exclusive episodes of our podcast that are exclusively for patrons over on Patreon. And we also have extra content, and all the new content and videos and things like that will go there first. So if you're interested, you should check it out, patreon.com/CreepGeeks. And we have lots of tiers that you can check out. We're pretty low key with the whole thing, but you do have benefits involved over there that you might be interested in.
Yeah.
But one of the things we talked about was Tom DeLonge. who's seen UFO, according to him, but shared it to Instagram instead of sharing it to, a maybe more widely known news source so that everybody could see it. And we thought that was kind of strange. But evidently,
and this is
he may have some corroboration with what he said.
Yeah, and
what he's seen.
This is actually from Singular Fortean Society on their website. They've actually been kind of doing a lot of legwork and research on this because right after Tom DeLonge had his sighting, there was a somewhat similar sighting in like Singapore, and now there's this sighting in Encinitas. And the Encinitas sighting happened, so on April 6th, paranormal radio show Coast to Coast AM published correspondence received from a listener that appears to corroborate a video shared by Tom DeLonge just over a week ago. A listener identified as Lori. On Tuesday night, March 31st, my friend Amy had an incredible UFO sighting of multiple objects. She saw 7 large orange objects hovering over the ocean in Encinitas. She called me at 8:30 p.m., which is about the same time Tom DeLonge had his experience, and I went down to the beach stairs near me to get a better look. As soon as I got there, one huge orange object appeared on the horizon and just stayed there for about an hour and 4.5 minutes. It was flickering and twinkling and then turned more red. When that happened, it appeared to have split into 2 objects, one on top of the other with some space in between. We watched until it faded out, which is similar to Tom's experience.
Yes.
I was kind of looking at the picture that was shared, which is the stereotypical Phoenix Lights.
Yeah, like the Phoenix Lights where they show like 5 or 10 of these things.
The string of lights.
Yeah.
And that's also what was spotted in Singapore. So I'm like, I'm having a hard time mentally matching all this stuff up.
Yeah.
Because Tom DeLonge, very detailed, the UFO splitting. This account right here, they watched it split into 2 objects, one on top of the other with space in between them, and then they faded out. So this happened 2 more times for a total of 3 separate episodes of it appearing.
Yeah, it was even seen so far down as Rosarito Beach in Baja California, Mexico, which I have spent some time there, actually, and that's pretty far away from Encinitas.
Yeah. Or
relatively far away from Encinitas.
And the end of that sentence is why I still have that app on my phone. The last 2 images on this article were posted on Nextdoor.
Yeah. Nextdoor is a wonderful app where you can spy on your neighbor. And your neighbor can complain and spy on you as well.
Yeah.
Where there are things like, there's a person with a white van in their driveway, and that white van has been there for 3 days, and it hasn't moved. I want to know what that's all about. I'm like, that's my van, silly. I drive it, and just because it's in my driveway and I haven't driven it in 3 days doesn't make it suspicious because I actually own a white van. My favorite was also, there's 2 white vans in this person's driveway. What are they doing?
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, we had the Great White Buffalo, which was a big Dodge van, white, is our camper van. Then we bought a new camper van, which was also a big white van, and we had them both in the driveway.
For like, what?
A week.
Yeah.
And that made Nextdoor. Why is there 2 big white vans in the driveway? Because that's where people go to, like I said, spy on your neighbor. But you do find some really interesting things on Nextdoor and some silly things as well. But, it could be good where people talk about, hey, this person came to the door, was trying to sell like fake, home security stuff. Be on the lookout. And this person was snooping around.
See, that's why I liked it.
Have you seen my Chihuahua? It's like, no, that kind of thing. So, but yeah, to see it and then say it showed up on Nextdoor, well, that is kind of weird, but that's another outlet, man. It's probably better than Instagram for some things.
Yeah. So what it's looking like so far is, despite the amazing Instagram footage shared by Tom DeLonge, there are other people who have had this experience. So I am wrong in discounting Tom's experience, but my judgment is based on the evidence that I'm provided.
Yeah, the pictures.
Yeah, these pictures are amazing.
Yeah, they're way better. I mean, they're amazing if you like to see like orange balls hanging in the sky.
Okay, well, compare them to Instagram.
Which is better than Tom DeLonge's blurry video of what looks like an orange water drop in the sky, just kind of doing stuff.
Again, stop zooming in so far.
Well, I'm not.
Well, yeah, you're not.
But everybody else, is like, ooh. But anyway, so he's got some corroboration there, which is cool.
Yep.
Which means that there's something there. What it is, who knows? Yeah. Don't know. Could be anything. Could be drones. Could be like a big mama drone that lets go of the other drones. Who knows what it is, man? Could be something crazy. But a lot of people seen it, and it was seen over a vast distance. So there you go, Tom DeLonge.
Yep.
And in Korea also had sort of another explanation for some of the stuff that they'd seen. So who knows? But they say it may have a simple explanation. But I do think a lot of these things that are being seen are like government and drone stuff.
Yeah. Because it's weird that it's like in a formation, then splits. You know, that, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a crazy thing, but yeah, he's seen it. We kind of made fun of him a little bit last time. We made fun of him more for putting it on Instagram and actually putting it out there for the public to see. Because you have to have Instagram to be able to see that kind of thing, really, to make it easy. I mean, there are ways to do it. We don't need somebody going, well, what you could do is, it's like, typically to see an image like that has to be shared somewhere. And if it's on Instagram, you normally have to have the Instagram app installed so you can log in and you can see it as well.
Yeah.
But other people have seen it. They've talked about it. So new images of UFO sighting over Encinitas, California, taken on the same night as Tom DeLonge's video helps to corroborate what he said.
Yeah.
So again, but if you have, and you come across and you document something like that yourself personally, don't zoom all the way in, leave something there for reference, try to do the best you can for focus and things like that, and share it to everywhere.
Yeah.
And try to do video. And a lot of people, this is what bugs me. A lot of people take blurry pictures, just do video.
Yeah.
And tap your screen
Seriously.
to focus. You know what I mean? If you can't take a clear picture, just do video and tap the screen so it tries to focus. Give us something.
Yeah.
But anyway, there you go.
And,
that's about all we got for that.
Again, thanks to Singular 14 for doing a lot of legwork on that.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
There you go, Mr. Whalen. Good job.
Yeah.
And Tom DeLonge, good try. I don't know what else to say. I mean, hey, but here's the thing too, though. If we came across something like that and we did that, I would expect, if we did what he did, and I did a video like he did, I would fully expect to catch crap from people. I would. I'm like, yeah, I know, man. I tried.
We would have our friends ripping us apart, I just,
and it would be fun.
Gosh.
For about 10 minutes. But anyway, so yeah, that's about all I got for that.
Yeah.
So since everything is canceled, there's a couple things you can do if you're bored. You can watch all sorts of videos and stuff like that, like the On the Trail of UFO series. We've talked about this like every podcast, from Seth Breedlove and Small Town Monsters, right?
Yeah.
On Amazon Prime for a lot of these shows. Just type Seth Breedlove or Small Town Monsters, do a search on Amazon for Amazon Prime. You'll come up with all sorts of free stuff you can watch. The latest and greatest is On the Trail of UFOs. We just happen to be in one of the episodes. Not going to tell you it's episode 6, I think. Is it 6?
Well, they should
I think it's 6.
Watch the whole series, but episodes 5 and 6 are pretty good, I think.
Yeah, they talk about Brown Mountain Lights, which is what we talk about. So it's pretty cool. There's all sorts of stuff you could do there. There's also a show that's on that we're not going to talk too much about, but we might talk about, is the Skinwalker Ranch series on History Channel. I'm going to give it one more episode.
Yeah.
Give it 3 episodes and see how they're going with this thing. But right now, I'm not necessarily too happy with it. We have started doing live streams again. So if you pay attention and follow our Facebook page, you will see notices for when we do live streams.
Yep.
We're going to try to concentrate and do live streams on like Mondays. Because, Monday's a crap day. Maybe we can lighten your day a little bit.
Yeah.
And also, just in case you're wondering about investigations and stuff like that, because we do investigations and cryptid and stuff, and we really haven't been doing too much. We have one in the works that we're planning to do a couple Tuesdays from now.
Yeah.
Where we go and try to do a live stream investigation at a local place that we've gone to a couple times in the past, which has been great fun. And we'll have more information on that.
Yeah.
I don't want to necessarily say, I know we're going to be doing it. We just need to make sure 100% that we're going to be ready for it to get it done. But the goal is to do a simple live stream investigation with minimal people at this place where we've gone before and had experiences that I always enjoy going to, because we always seem to get something, and maybe have it live streaming for everybody. It'll be a Tuesday night around 8 o'clock and probably go for a couple hours.
Ooh.
And so we're planning that out, and we'll be full mask and gloves and all that stuff, doing a social distancing thing, minimal people, and it should be free, and you'll be able to follow us and the investigation as it happens at this wonderful location, and all the investigators that are going to be there, right, including the owner and all that stuff.
Yeah.
On Tuesday.
Cool.
A couple Tuesdays from now. And when we talk about that kind of thing, we'll update our website and let you know when. But if you follow us on Facebook, you'll have the inside skinny as to, is this 100% going to happen and what time and how long it's going to last and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
But as of right now, we are 95% sure it's going to happen. So, and this is something that's sort of experimental for us, because if this works and it's a way for us to do it and we can still maintain social distancing and be careful and all that sort of thing, why not do a couple of these?
We're going to have to.
Yeah, and the reason for this is there's been an uptick in activity that's been happening there, and we've gone there about 5 or 6 times so far, and I'm kind of interested in how that's going to play out.
Yeah.
So there you go. That's about all I got, really.
We're going to have to hand off the live stream device to each person to practice social distancing.
Maybe. I'm kind of more thinking that I'm just going to film the entire thing, and we'll just try to be cool with it.
Okay.
I don't know. See, that's part of the planning thing, is like, how complicated do we need to make this versus what's going to be effective? And it's just kind of a strange thing. You know, I don't know. It's going to be some work, but it'll be fun. So you should stick around and tune in for that. Follow us on Facebook so you can find out when that's going to happen. So you can find out when the live streams happens and when the podcast shows up, because we make our podcast available on YouTube, because we have a YouTube channel. If you want to check that out and subscribe, that'd be great. And Facebook is where we put, a lot of things where we talk about upcoming events, and we share funny things, and we also share things from people that we know, including the live streams and when that's going to happen, investigations, and so forth and so on. So there you go.
Okay.
Anyway, that's about all I got.
All right. Do you want to thank everybody for tuning in? If you want to say something, give us some feedback, anything like that, contact at CreepGeeks.com. Be sure to check us out on Facebook. Not only do we have a page, we also have a very active group. We really want you guys to share the group and share the Facebook page. We need to grow. Normally, vendor events is how we spread the word about the podcast, but since we're all stay at home, we could use your help. So
yes, we've all been sequestered.
Sequestered.
It's very nice. Anyway, that's about all I have.
All right.
So anyway, there you go. You've been listening to the CreepGeeks Podcast. This was episode number 172. Zonkey, Bigfoot in Oklahoma, space mining, and Easter egg porn. Which is kind of crazy. So anyway, any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. But we appreciate you listening, and hopefully you'll see you again. And come back for episode 173. We're talking about more paranormal and weird news. Much appreciated. So be careful. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.